The Wright Brothers. Little Orville and Wilbur. It was 1878. Orville and Wilbur Wright's father had just returned from a trip. He brought his young sons a toy helicopter. Rubber bands made it fly. The Wright brothers lived in Dayton, Ohio. This is Wilbur and this is Orville. So there's lots of text features that we've already went over a couple weeks ago. Things like the photographs and a diagram telling you this is the toy helicopter, this is a rubber band. The caption says, "This sketch by Orville shows the toy helicopter his father gave him and his brother." That toy started Wilbur and Orville thinking about how things fly. They didn't know then that someday they would make an invention that would change the world, the first airplane. The brothers grow up. When Wilbur and Orville Wright grew up, they worked as book printers. Later, they owned a shop to fix and make bicycles, but they always wanted to fly. Here's a picture of a bicycle. It says, in the 1890s, lots of people began riding bicycles. Glider. A glider flies on the wind without an engine. The dream of flying. At that time, people were doing experiments with flying machines. Some people worked on gliders. Gliders were like airplanes without engines. They flew on the wind. Other people worked on flying machines with engines, but no one had made a flying machine that could take off, turn, and come back down. If you guys have a hard time seeing the words, just make sure that you're following along in your own book. The Wright brothers started to study bird wings. They saw how the wings worked when birds flew and turned. The brothers tried making wings that would work in the same way. The Wright brothers discovered that bird wings change shape in flight. Over here's that glider. The Wright brothers did as many experiments with gliders. The Wright brothers worked on a glider that flew like a kite. At first, the glider couldn't fly very far. The brothers made models of different kinds of wings. They used a fan to blow wind over these small model wings. Here's an engine. The Wright brothers made their own engine. So this section of the book is now called Ready for Takeoff. The Wright brothers were now ready to build an engine to make a glider fly. The engine had to be light but strong. The engine spun the propeller that blew air over the glider's wings to make it fly. It was now time to test the flying glider. A few men helped the Wright brothers roll their flying machine to its starting place. Orville laid down on the lower wing. He waited for the signal to take off. The Wright brothers added their engine to a glider. The Wright brothers' first flight was only 120 feet. First flight. So this section now is all going to be about the heading, first flight. The flying machine moved down the starting track and into the air. It stayed in the air for only 12 seconds, but it was the first time a flying machine with an engine carried a person in the air. Soon, people would fly all over the world. All this was thanks to the genius of the Wright brothers. So this week now, you guys, we're talking about main idea and details. So you don't have to do this diagram, but when you take your notes, think about the main idea, which are things like the chapter subtitles here. First flight, ready for takeoff, and then the details would be anything within that subchapter, Little Orville and Wilbur. What are details that support this is the main idea? That's what we're going to focus on for this lesson.